Next guest is a reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. His story can be read at stltoday.com, also by the newspaper on your front doorstep. Robert Patrick, welcome Big 550 KTRS here in St. Louis.
Always a pleasure.
This one is a doozy. It's pretty hard to get your hands around it. Try and if you can, explain the dentist who is a registered sex offender, wants to be a dentist. The state says sure, the feds say absolutely not.
Right. So this guy, Anthony, goes by Tony Rizzuti, was arrested back in 2008. According to police, he believed he was on his way to have sex with a 14-year-old. He was going to bring a camera and had asked permission to take pictures of the sex act. Well, it turned out that she, of course, was a police detective. They search his computer, they find child porn. He gets charged various places, state and federal court, and eventually pleads guilty to a child porn charge and goes to prison for 6 years.
He spends his time in jail. While in jail, the state reissues his dentist license?
Yeah, I'm no lawyer. I read the statute, and it looks like they can let it expire and force him to sue to renew it. But in any event, the state dental board has told me, we have to renew it.
Right.
As part of this disciplinary process that they go through. So they actually renewed it twice, suspended it, and as of I think January, put him on probation for 5 years.
But
and the conditions of the probation are fairly strict. No contact with kids, and he's got to disclose his status as a sex offender to patients and everything else.
Right. And so the feds come in and trump the state and say no way?
Yeah, he was trying to work at a family dental place up in St. Charles County, and the feds just refused. They said, no way. Now, there's been a hearing in this already. There was a hearing back in February. I expect that shortly Rizzuti's lawyer will file something to kind of force the hand, to sort of force the issue back into court. His position, Rizzuti's lawyer is a guy named Adam Fine, very, very zealous defender of his clients. And his position here is the probation officials who are refusing to allow Rizzuti to work are kind of assuming too much power. They are, he thinks they're acting in the role of a judge here to prevent this from happening.
Yeah. The dentist wants to go work for his father's place. His father says, I just want to get my son's life back on track. He has to go work somewhere. He has to go do something. He's a trained dentist. I want to hire him. We're going to disclose to everyone who walks in here that he's a registered sex offender. They have a point, don't they?
Yeah, you can't blame Dad for wanting to help out his son. I think the problem comes with the nature of the practice and what else they do there. Adam Fine has told me that the kids section is separated from the adult section at this dental practice, but they run an informal daycare for their employees. So there's a million ways to look at this, but one of the ways to look at this is you got a sex offender working at a business where a daycare is also running.
Yeah,
and I think on its face, that just makes a lot of people's heads explode.
Did you, the story is in stltoday.com. Robert Patrick is our guest. It's an unbelievable story. So as of right now, he's not allowed to practice dentistry, right?
No. As of right now, he's not allowed to work with his dad at the family dental place. Now, if he could find, I think the probation people's objections would probably, their big objection seems to be the kid factor.
The informal daycare.
Now, I have heard cases before where medical professionals came back and maybe they worked in jails.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a nursing home that needs a dentist. Maybe there's like an adult practice. There's certainly.
Right, but the issue isn't putting braces on a teenager or checking a cavity for a 10-year-old. The issue is the informal daycare there at the practice.
Right. I think there's two issues based on this hearing and based on, kind of the probation officials' approach in general, you got kids present at a business. Forget the daycare for a second. You got kids present at a business. They won't let a sex offender work there. And then you add the daycare factor into, and I think that's just.
Yeah. Any patients have a problem with this?
Well, it was all in this. It hadn't been approved yet. It's all in the planning stages at this point. I had an interesting and feisty discussion with his lawyer about running this story. He thought it was going to ruin the practice to kind of disclose that this was happening. But I think, the first or the third or the fifth patient that he disclosed his status to would tell somebody who'd tell somebody, and then, it's out there. Or his workplace is also disclosed on the sex offender registry because he is a registered sex offender. And so, someone's Googling around and says, oh, wait a minute, how is this guy...
Right.
How do you have a sex offender working at a family dental place?
Right. My child's dentist is on the sex offender list.
And I should emphasize, he's never been accused of doing anything with a patient, doing anything to a patient.
Right.
So, and that's something his lawyer said as well. The discipline process, as you'll read in the story, is very interesting because they disciplined him on the conviction. The charges that they dismissed, by law, they say they're not allowed to consider. So,
right.
In the disciplinary process, he says, "Yeah, I had some child porn, but I'm kind of an accidental child porn possessor.
Right.
I'm on the lowest scale of these things, and I would never commit a hands-on offense."
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting way they put it in the article. Bottom line, where is it now? So they're still trying to get him licensed to be a dentist in St. Peter's.
Oh well, he is licensed. He's on his license is on probation, but he can work. But he needs the approval of. He's on supervised release for life because of his federal child porn conviction.
Right. Gotcha.
So he needs the blessing of his probation officer to find work. And there's, he's tried a couple of places or made a couple of inquiries or something, but he really wants to go back into dentistry. And I think in a few weeks we'll probably, somebody will sue somebody or somebody will file something, and this will end up back in federal court.
Yeah, Robert Patrick with the St. Louis Post Dispatch has an unbelievable story. STLtoday.com. Robert, thanks for checking in.
Thank you, McGraw.
You got it.